Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Warcraft 3. So, the news is that there is no remaster on the horizon. What it is a patch, including a couple of balance updates, which is pretty remarkable after 16 years, and proper widescreen support. But we're continuing on with the LP because we don't even have an ETA on that patch. And today, we're going to be going into the Undead campaign, starting with Chapter 1, Trudging Through the Ashes.
What trickery is this? Mal'Ganis! I don't know how you survived, but
Calm yourself, Prince Arthas. I am Tichondrius. Like Mal'Ganis, I am a Dreadlord. But I am not your enemy. In truth, I've come to congratulate you.
Congratulate me?
By killing your own father and delivering this land to the Scourge, you have passed your first test. The Lich King is pleased with your enthusiasm.
Yes. I've damned everyone and everything I've ever loved in his name. And I still feel no remorse, no shame, no pity.
The rune blade that you carry was forged by the Lich King and empowered to steal souls. Yours was the first one it claimed.
Then I'll make do without one. What is the Lich King's will?
The cult of the damned must be rallied once again. Many of the acolytes have been in hiding amongst the populace. Once you've rallied them, I will give you further instructions.
What is it now?
Now this is an Arthas you might be a tad bit more familiar with. Not Arthas the Paladin, but Arthas the Death Knight.
Greetings, great lord. Our master, Kel'Thuzad, told us that you would come.
Kel'Thuzad? How could he have known it?
Be wary. If the townsfolk see your undead minions, they'll call the local guards to stop you.
Help! The undead
I don't know how we avoided the aggro range for that footman.
This is more.
So we're actually going to try to minimize combat for a little bit because our forces are so sparse right now.
Frostmourne hungers.
And this guy does not want to pop. He's a little bit shy. We're going to get the ghouls away.
At last.
This acolyte in hiding has social anxiety.
Those buried there will serve you well. It's revealing.
And that's a helpful little hint.
My sight is
If we hit up a graveyard, we'll get some additional units with which to fight. For now, we are gifted this shade,
Frostmourne hungers.
so we can watch the guards patrol routes and kind of swoop in. This is kind of a square area down here. The roads follow a square pattern around a central barracks with a knight, footman, and that patrol with the captain and the other footman. So we're really outmatched for the time being. We want to scooch our way a little bit further in, just so they will pass us by as they patrol around. Oh, our shade stopped tailing them. I think we had set him to follow the captain, but they are gonna move their way past. Now, if you're familiar with Warcraft 2's lore, you'll remember the Death Knights as being slain human knights infused with the souls of orc warlocks. And the ritual was performed by Gul'dan in service of Doomhammer, with Terran Gorfine being the first Death Knight. We have to get out of here before the captain and his guards... let's take him out. He had so little left before they join up. So, Terran Gorfine was the first of the Death Knights. They were basically mounted warlocks, rather than actual knights like we see in Warcraft 3. And they were aligned with the Orc Horde rather than the Undead Scourge. Gorfine, by the way, went on to reappear in the Burning Crusade expansion for WoW.
The undead! Sound the alarm!
For a quest line in Shadowmoon Valley, and then later on as a boss in Black Temple, a locale we may yet visit in this playthrough. Who knows? Before we move further on, we're just going to spam click this sheep. For no reason. None at all. That Easter egg never ceases to amuse me.
At last, I shall be your
We'll see some other Easter eggs with spam clicking units in the fairly near future. We can't quite skirt around. We only pulled aggro from one of them, though. Aggro. Oh, that Shadow of the Colossus remake is stunning. It's so good. There'll be time for that later. We're gonna beat you down. Again, we're kind of just gonna try to skirt along the outskirts of the town while liberating the acolytes who are in hiding. Ooh, he might actually make it. Yeah. Oh, and we got a lot of friends. He made it because one of my ghouls got in the way and blocked Arthas. Here we have Tyler and Robert. They're having a fight club in town. That would be Tyler Durd and Robert, who is Paul's son, according to the map editor. Also, I found out recently that those two NPCs show up in Undercity in WoW, which is cute.
These graves were dug recently.
So we lost aggro from most of those. Still have the Knight and the Footman. And we did come across one of those graveyards, of which the Acolyte spoke earlier on. Also, we should note that the ghouls have an ability to cannibalize any corpses nearby, and that will heal them. It'll take them out of action for a little bit, but it'll keep them nice and healthy so that they are sustained and with us in the long run. So, Warcraft 3 Death Knights have that Warcraft 2 flavor, but they are for strength-based melee heroes. We even have Death Coil that we start out with, which is the most iconic, I think. Death Knight. Spell from Tides of Darkness. Oh, we did miss one back here. Luckily, the Shade scouted that for us.
Finally.
The Death Knight in Warcraft 3 is actually really closely analogous to the Paladin, which just for flavor fits so well with the story they tell here. So Paladins have Holy Light, which damages undead or heals friendly living units. Death Coil is the exact inverse of that. Heals friendly undead, harms enemy living units. Paladins get Divine Shield, which renders them immune for a few seconds. DKs get Death Pact, which lets them sacrifice friendly units to restore a bunch of HP. Kind of functionally very similar, kind of sustain abilities. Paladins get Devotion Aura, DKs get Unholy Aura, which we have activated now. It is a movement speed and HP regeneration aura. And for their ults, Paladins have Resurrect, Death Knights can raise an army of the dead. Thematically consistent, with Arthas transitioning from his mantle as a Paladin to Death Knight, the Scourge. Other heroes across all the races and just between undead and human, they're going to be quite different. But the Death Knight and the Paladin, it's really key that they are so similar. Now, as for the rest, all we're doing now is getting a chance to feel out our new hero and the two new units introduced in this mission. The ghouls, which are functionally the footmen of the undead. And we also got introduced to the Shades, which are those invisible scouting units. They can't be seen unless they pass by a structure or a unit that possesses a trait called True Sight. So that makes them really, really useful scouts. The one in this mission helped us watch that guard patrol and figure out where a lot of these acolytes in hiding have been hiding. And acolytes, even though we can't control them yet, they're going to be our main workers once we get to some base building later on. Every mission in every campaign is kind of structured like this, where you get to play with a handful of new things at a time and feel your way around and see where these new units that they're giving you fit into your army. And they let you do that in a really organic fashion.
I shall be your eyes. I'll look into it.
And they do this while varying the mission structure up, which is by far one of my favorite things about Warcraft 3 and StarCraft and Warcraft 2 and all of the Blizzard RTSs, is what a good job they do of keeping the mission structures varied. Like, if you think about it, we've done a lot of different types of missions, and not just, whoops, I didn't want to command all of them. We can still pull him back. Ooh, that worked out, okay. Nothing to cannibal. Oh no, there is something. But this one, this is for a sizable chunk of it, and even still, because we've lost a bunch of our skeletons now, this is an RTS take on a stealth mission, and it works pretty well. And even within context, it works really, really well. So while they're preoccupied, I'm going to free this guy. It just saves us probably a little bit of time. And we can also take Arthas around with his movement speed. And just kind of disengage him and re-engage him as necessary.
Speak, fool. This is more like
Something nice about the Undead is that they are actually pretty mobile.
I go unseen.
Sound the alarm.
Do we really care about the alarms at this stage? I suppose. We're gonna have to do at least one or two big fights, plus all of the ones that we've kind of gotten ourselves into that weren't even strictly necessary. I kind of missed what happened there. I wonder if that acolyte turned out to be a double agent. Seems to be the case, something like that. It was looking away.
My sight is yours.
Okay, we're gonna send the shade over there while we kind of cover this half of the town.
Sound the alarm.
For the Lich King.
You've betrayed us all.
No, not really. Well, yes. I mean, I can't even really justify that.
Speak, fool.
I didn't betray you. The sword did. The sword made me betray you.
Speak, fool.
Not entirely inaccurate. As per the explanation we got from Tychondrius about Frostmourne.
What needs revealing?
And then, who are the ones that we are missing? Must be over here.
The undead.
Oh,
Sound the alarm.
you need to get along. You actually have to either issue a stop command or individually select him and move him, or any ghouls, rather, who are actively cannibalizing. And this, I think, is one of the fights that you have to take. Luckily, this is just a guard captain, which is a buffed up footman, and a couple of regular footies. And actually, we can even pull Arthas back and just have him go towards all of the rest of the acolytes. Liberate them now while, oh! Healing potion. Liberate them while the ghouls finished the job. Do we have any left? Oh no, it just took a second for that to pop.
Frostmourne hungers.
Well done, Death Knight. The cult is nearly assembled.
Lordaeron lies in ashes. What good are these cultists to us now?
They will aid you in your next undertaking.
And what's that?
You will go to Underhall and recover the remains of the Acolyte's former master, the Necromancer, Kel'Thuzad.
Kel'Thuzad foreshadowed all of this in the first place, so digging up the dead the next morning on the outskirts of Anderhall.
What the hell is that?
This crude contraption will allow you to transport the remains of our master.
Can you not simply raise the remains when we find them?
Pardon, Lord, but a being of Kel'Thuzad's power can only be reanimated at a nexus of powerful ley energies. and there are no such places in this land.
Very well then. Let's move out. What is it now?
For this mission, we are now introduced to the Undead Siege unit, meat wagons. Function very similarly to the mortar teams or the steam engines, the steam tanks of the human campaign.
Finally.
Except these are lobbing corpses. And there is an upgrade that you can get for them that will inflict those corpses that the meat wagons lob with some kind of pestilence. It will poison everything that they hit. Also, remember that the splash damage that they deal
No one orders me around.
does have friendly fire attached to it.
At last.
Arthas, stop this madness before it's too late.
Stand aside, brother. I've come to collect some old bones and I don't wish to be disturbed.
Alright, so we're going to pull all these ghouls back in Arthas, and we're going to send the meat wagons in to do what they are designed to do, which is deal extraordinary amounts of damage to buildings. I see one of them. Remove this ghoul out of the way so that one can move up and actually hit the watchtower, or the guard tower. Whoop!
Frostmourne hungers.
Then we can get in there and actually kill the first of 3 paladins that we are going to have to dispose of in this campaign, or in this mission.
Your pain shall be legend.
And then we'll just have the meat wagons going to town in the back. Not that it really matters. I would rather not incur all the splash damage on my ghouls, though, just to take out a couple of lowly footmen. Now, if there were some guard towers up ahead, maybe. Or unit production facilities, some barracks, arcane sanctum, something like that, you get the siege wagons involved in the fight just a little bit more.
At last.
Hey, speak of the devil.
I can't believe that we ever called you brother. I knew it was a mistake to accept a spoiled prince into our order. You've made a mockery of the Silver Hand.
It's not actually producing anything. We're still gonna move that up. Ooh, 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 ooh. We're actually gonna get him all the way outside at range of that holy light. Have him go cannibalize Death Coil U, because he's currently getting beat on, and also holy light is a pretty strong nuke against us now.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Come along now, Necromancer. The powers that you once served have need of you again.
Told you, my death would mean little.
What the? Am I hearing ghosts now?
It is I, Kel'Thuzad. I was right about you, Prince Arthas.
It took you long enough. These remains are badly decomposed. They will never survive the trip to Quel'Thalas.
Quel'Thalas?
Yes. Only the energies of the High Elves' Sunwell can bring Kel'Thuzad back to life.
Then what must be done?
You must steal a very special urn from the Paladin's keeping. Place the Necromancer's remains within it, and he will be well protected for the journey.
As you wish. Tread lightly. No.
Now we can finally get into the meat of the Undead campaign and start on base building, starting with placing down a necropolis and haunting this gold mine. Oh god, I love the Undead so much. We saw the start of this process way back early on at the beginning of the human campaign. We drove a bunch of acolytes off who had started haunting a gold mine, started preparing to set a base up. Now in the meantime, we are going to send the meat wagons up this hill to this elbow. And they are going to attack position on the trees to knock them over while we take the bulk of the army over here.
Can only be summoned onto Blight, with the exception of the necropolis.
And that super helpful necromancer is expounding upon how base building for the undead works. The undead is a race, to put this in StarCraft terms, They are a little bit like a mix between Zerg and Protoss. The Zerg kind of comes in with the Blight. You know, Zerg buildings need to be built upon creep. Zerg, undead buildings need to be built upon Blight, which is that dead, diseased land under your necropolis. And there are a couple of other ways to spread the Blight. But once you are on Blight, further Blight will emanate out from around your structures. So that kind of spreads it forward. The Protoss influence is in how the workers behave in summoning structures. Also, now that we have these trees, I'll get back to that in a second. Now that we have these trees down, let's come over here and see what was waiting behind those.
At last.
Finally.
What the hell is that?
Now, we are not going to fight the peaceful Sasquatch society, the isolationist society of Sasquatches, who are just chilling out, trying to lead their apparently advanced lives. What we will do is summon a bunch of Ziggurats. Ziggurats are our food and supply structures for the undead, which we're going to need in a moment because our crypt is almost up, and we can start producing ghouls out of there.
Frostmourne hunger is complete.
I just love how cute and well concealed that secret is. This campaign is chock full of stuff like that. Also, I kind of forget where to go with my main army for this one. I thought it was along that path, but I don't think so. Because I'm pretty sure they don't require you to chop these down to progress at any point. But you might want to see anyway. Move these up a little bit, take that one out. No, that's just a hill. So to get back to the comparison to the Protoss, you do not need to dedicate a worker to build a structure. You can have one acolyte go, plop it down, and then it will start to kind of take form on its own, and you can send the acolyte then back to the gold mine to continue harvesting. These two footmen stand no chance because I have already upgraded the necropolis to tier 2, and it has its own defense mechanism that we saw in the human campaign. So our necropolis, that will take care of the two footmen on its own. Nice defense. Just a super, super convenient thing. Also, we can upgrade the Ziggurats.
You are not fit enough to even carry your father's name. Why Uther ever vouched for you is beyond me. You've stripped him of his honor by casting yours to the winds. You deserve a gruesome death, boy.
I wasn't paying attention. I let this fight get real sloppy.
What is it now? No one would have around.
We can also upgrade the Ziggurats back at base to function as guard towers. That's why the splash damage isn't always ideal. In fact, I'm just gonna send these over here. I'm gonna put them in timeout for killing a bunch of my ghouls. So every race, on top of having unique units and heroes and tech trees, have different strengths and weaknesses and different mechanics even for macroing. Like humans, we saw multiple peasants can be assigned to speed up construction of buildings, and they can be turned into militia. Undead have the acolytes and how they work. And also, our secondary harvester is undead, are these ghouls. So they're not only our footmen, but they also harvest lumber for us. And then there's also how building production differs that we already went over. Also, you'll notice that the UI, like the borders and everything, that's also slightly different for each race. The border that we get here for the undead is different than what we got when we were playing as humans. and that's just an extra little bit of flavor. So we're producing an extra crypt so that we can more efficiently use our gold. Because we've been floating a lot, we only had that one crypt, and even then we only built 2 ziggurats, which we already had enough ghouls that 2 ziggurats was not enough. So that's how we wound up floating a bunch of gold. But now that we have supply freed up, and also 2 crypts and enough ziggurats, we can actually produce out both of these now and just kind of refill all of those forces that we lost. And this graveyard coming up is what is going to allow us, like the blacksmith for humans, to upgrade the melee attacks and defense of our units. Now, in the meantime, let's talk art. Everyone knows that Warhammer was a huge source of inspiration for Warcraft, especially the art of Warhammer. What fewer people know is that Blizzard wanted to make a Warhammer RTS, and that very few people at Blizzard wanted that to happen. It didn't ultimately happen. The deal fell through. They never worked licensing rights out. And this came as a huge relief to a lot of folks at Blizzard who wanted to retain control over their own IP. They wanted to create their own world and fully be in control of its fate.
Tread lightly.
And part of the motivation for that should be pretty obvious. Like, it makes complete sense that you would want to make your own thing and have the control of that thing completely within your grasp. But there's another side to this, and it's also because they were burned in the past with a licensed game. That game was on the Super Nintendo, and it was called The Death and Return of Superman, which Blizzard helped develop with Sunsoft for DC. Now, I don't know exactly what went down between DC and Blizzard, but it was bad enough to make Blizzard want to own their own universe and not be beholden to anyone else.
Frostmourne.
Which, again, that's a noble enough ambition. So they did wind up making Warhammer.
Have mercy on you. Your betrayal has broken Uther's heart, boy. He would have given his life for yours in a second. And this is how you repay his loyalty?
My life for this is required.
We're gonna finish off this punk ass and continue about our business. So they didn't wind up making Warhammer, and instead made Warcraft Orcs and Humans, which was a loving homage to the Dune 2 RTS, taking heavy inspiration from the art and mythos of Warhammer. By the way, if anyone knows more about the Blizzard and DC fallout, I would really love to know more about that. If you know any kind of details about how that went down that I haven't divulged myself, please hit me up. I'm very curious about this. Once again, things have gotten pretty sloppy, but that's because we're going with the bare minimum of forces to actually finish these fights off. And the nice thing is, we have plenty of ghouls back at home still harvesting lumber, which we will eventually have less of a need for. So even then, that's a couple of extra ghouls that we can reinforce with. And then we're also producing out of 2 structures, so it's not too bad. Even though we've lost a lot in this fight. Still have potions on Arthas, so this is no problem whatsoever. It looks like a complete bloodbath, and it is, but we're still totally fine to carry on without really slowing the pace up. And that's kind of what's helped me even do this LP at all, is learning to make do with the bare minimum. Because otherwise, I would kind of be turtling up back at base until I have an overwhelming force and just kind of throw a bunch of big death balls at the enemy, and that would make for LP poison. So instead, we've adopted kind of a more aggressive, minimalistic on the army composition front approach to this. And this is kind of assuaging a lot of my fears I had in doing this LP in how I would make this in any way watchable.
Your father ruled this land for for 70 years, and you've ground into dust in a matter of days.
Very dramatic, Uther. Give me the urn, and I'll make sure you die quickly.
The urn holds your father's ashes, Arthas. What? Were you hoping to piss on them one last time before you left his kingdom to rot?
I didn't know what it held. Nor does it matter. I'll take what I came for one way or another. Finally.
Credit where credit is due.
Finally.
That exchange between Arthas and Uther is pretty sharply written, and very well acted
Frostmourne.
on both of their parts. Unfortunately, I don't remember who did not Arthas's, Uther's voice, but
No one.
definitely talented. And this... Oh wow, it's really just the Footman and Uther for this one, even though Uther is level 10 and we are considerably underleveled by comparison. What do I want the meat wagons doing? Certainly not attacking, as
Speak, fool.
all of my very fragile ghouls surround one unit and get splashed all at once. I guess I'll send them after the horses. That is a more important facet to focus on in this fight than actually... focusing on what's going on between Uther and the ghouls, because this is unlosable at this point. He's gonna pop Divine Shield. Nobody can actually hurt him, but we have the surround. He has no health left. This is done. I wish Divine Shield would wear off so we could actually call it done. There we go.
I dearly hope that there's a special place in hell waiting for you, Arthas.
We may never know, Uther. I intend to live forever. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Oop, he dropped the urn.
At last. Finally.
Excellent work. Now your journey to Quel'Thalas can begin.
Tell him nothing. Only you can hear me. The Dreadlords cannot be trusted. They are the Lich King's jailers. I will tell you all when I walk this world again.
Now, real quick, we're gonna check in on a meeting between the Dreadlords.
Is everything proceeding as planned, Tychondrius? Lord Archimon demands a report on the Scourge.
Lich King's young Death Knight has been performing well. Almost too well. I begin to wonder if Ner'zhul has ulterior motives for his new champion.
The human means nothing in the long run. Ner'zhul wouldn't dare undermine our efforts now. Our only concern is that the Scourge accomplishes what it was created to do. Archimon will have all our heads if we do not keep control of this situation.
Believe me, brother. Neither the Lich King nor his undead lackeys will jeopardize the Legion's return.
See that they do not. Lord Archimon has little patience for failure.
All right, thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.